Hi guys, my name's Doug. Welcome to my messy garage. A couple of weeks ago we put a snowplow on a 2019 Can-Am Defender, and today we're going to try and do the same thing with my 2009 Polaris RZR. I kind of stumbled onto a deal that was too good to pass up on a, I'm guessing 50-inch moose plow. It's a really well-built, solid plow, but it's a little on the narrow side for my machine. I think we'll probably end up fixing that, but that's going to be for a future video. Today we're going to concentrate on getting things mounted. Brand shiny new Moose genuine mounting plate. It's designed for a few different machines, so it's got several different sets of mounting holes here. I believe it is these elongated holes in the corners that we end up using for the Polaris RZR. Comes with mounting instructions, hardware. Something tells me this isn't going to be quite as easy to put on as the Defender plow. That one almost bolted itself in place. This one's going to take a little bit more finagling to get it up into the location, because it's kind of a universal plate and aftermarket plow. Follow along. Hopefully you enjoy this one, and thanks a lot for watching. On the Defender, the plow plate went right between the front A-arms, but on the RZR, the plow plate has to go back immediately behind the front suspension. We've got the front frame, and I believe the U-bolts will end up going through in this general area right here, and likewise on the other side. And then you can kind of see this longitudinal tube there, and at the back of the plate the U-bolts, I believe, end up looping over this. Here's our hardware collection. We've got 3 different sizes of U-bolt, and we've got nylock nuts and washers, one nicely powder coated spacer of some sort. Not exactly sure where that gets used. I don't believe it gets used on the RZR actually. I've got the U-bolts laid out according to the instructions, how they're going to go on there. We've got a 2-inch wides for the front. We've got 1.5 inch wide by 4 1/4 for the back. And I believe these 3.5 inch high to go around the front. So let me grab a drill and we'll take this over to the machine, kind of put it up in place, and we'll see where we have to drill the holes. My plan with the plate is to use this hydraulic floor jack, if it'll go up high enough, to kind of jack the plate up in place, and then I'll be able to get in under there and drill the holes for the U-bolts. Hopefully this is going to work. That gets us pretty close to where we need to be. I think we need to go back just a little bit more so that the holes line up, but we're close. Unfortunately, because this is an aftermarket plate, it's not designed specifically to go with this unit. There's no nice little dimple holes that we can use to locate where we're supposed to drill. Another little complication that we have to deal with here is that there's a radiator tube lines up not too far behind where this U-bolt is going to go through the pan. I think we're looking fairly straight on here, and you can see where this is going to go up through, come back down through this hole here. Likewise over on the other side, you can see where we're going to have to go up through. I think we've got to put some bolt holes in, and hopefully that will give us what we need to work with. I'm going to go over the other side and just to see how our rear bolts line up with this rear member. I think we're fairly safe to put some holes in this thing. One thing the instructions warn about is that it might be necessary to kind of pry the floorboard up a little bit to get this U-bolt in between the floorboard and the frame member. And I think I'm going to agree with that. It looks like it's going to line up fairly well. But again, we don't want to hit anything with liquid in it that's up around the other side. The diameter of these holes in the bottom belly pan isn't really critical. The clamping force up over the top of the frame rail is what's actually going to hold the plow frame in place. One thing we want to be careful of, though, is not getting up too deep so that we hit and drill into that cooling tube that runs to the from the radiator to the engine. Step drill does a nice job of opening up that plastic so we can fit the U-bolt in there. The problem I'm having is getting this chunk of floor to come up, we'll say 3/8 of an inch thereabouts, so that I can get the U-bolt to slip between the frame rail and the floor pan. Almost through. Oh, there we go. The plate looks like it's reasonably straight across, provided this little lip is straight. That should line us up. I know the lighting down here is pretty dreadful, but hopefully we can make this work. Nice big hole there, and yeah, it's got the plastic most of the way. We'll just put that U-bolt in there for the time being, just to kind of line things up. I'm going to give the jack a pump or two to tighten the plate up against the belly pan, and then we'll locate those front two holes where we need them, and hopefully get the rest of this drilling done. Those holes marked. Let's pull out the rest of the bolts, drop this plate out. We'll get these other two U-bolts wedged up in there somehow, and then we'll get the plate bolted in place. Here we are. I think we've got all four of those U-bolts at least started in place. Let's put the impact on here and tighten them up. That looks pretty good and snug. I'm kind of thinking, though, we'll buzz those off at some point. I have a sneaking suspicion when I'm playing in the bush, those bolts are going to be an issue. Tabs that the plow is going to fit into, I don't think is going to be a problem, but having these bolts sticking down will not be a good idea. Plow mounts with these nice pins. They got a little bit of grease on them already. That's a good thing. My plan here is going to be kind of sort of almost lined up. Push it up in place and put those pins in, or at least one of them to start. I was going to use the jack, but it seems like it's not too bad to lift up on there. So hopefully if I pull the jack out and kind of go in from the other side, that I'll be able to push it up by hand. That's one pin. So I open the clutch on the winch. You can see a big knob here at the end of the winch. That is the yank it out mode. Unfortunately, it's a little stiff. So we've got the far side is in place. We're supported at the front off the winch cable. And I've got my toe on the edge of the plow. Now we reach in here, put the pin in. Oh, there we are, slips right in. Okay, we are pinned in place. We've got our winch at the front, our 2 points at the back. I think we're pretty well ready to take this thing out and give it a little test. Well guys, I gotta say I'm impressed. Even with without any tire chains on this thing, we were plowing in slush here, and the only reason that we're not making more progress is that I don't want to push it any harder. I don't think I'd have any trouble pushing this even further if we really wanted to. Quite impressed with the traction, even with just knobby tires on there. As I say, I do have some tire chains that I want to put on this thing. Rewire a switch for the winch. Get her all dialed in for plowing snow. Although, admittedly, the snow plowing season is kind of halfway finished. Anyways, thanks a lot for stopping by, checking this one out. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you did, can you hit that like button? Give me a thumb up. That helps the channel a lot. If you want to see some more content from Doug's Messy Garage, why don't you hit that subscribe button, maybe ring that bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post new videos. Thanks a lot for checking this out, and we'll catch you in the next mess. One last thing before we shut things down here. These are your plow shoes. They adjust the height of the plow off the ground, and definitely when I was first using this, I was finding it was a little on the high side. It wasn't scraping down nice and low. These are adjusted by moving washers from the top to the bottom. The more washers you have down here at the bottom, the higher the plow blade is going to run off of the snow or off of your ground level. I've taken 2 washers out of each side and moved them up to the top. Just a nice little adjustment pin. Of course, now it's going to fall out on the ground. Pip pin here locks itself in place. You pull this out, the whole pin drops down from the bottom, and you can move your washers around. It's got a nice little rubber bumper here at the top that gives it a bit of cushion. And by moving this up the way I have, it's made a huge difference in getting right down. You can see where I've been plowing here, and this is about as low as you'd want it to go. There's 2 more washers that could come out of there if I wanted to scrape down just a little bit tighter, but I'm quite happy with the height the plow is running at right now. Let me clean up the last of this mess and load it on the trailer.